What is up, my fellow Chibits? Today, I'm here to bring all of you the weekly anime review of Iron Fortress, episode 6. Okay, so where to begin? Let's talk about how we found out that the big black smoke monster was actually a colony. A fused colony of Kabaneri, or zombies. That's interesting. That reminds me a lot, to be honest, it reminds me a lot of the Flood. I talked about this, I think, in a video recently of, Iron Fortress, but seeing how they all, came together into one central, hive mind, for instance, one Kabaneri was controlling the entire body, it makes me remember some things like the Flood from Halo. And I'm like, yo, that's rather cool, just seeing how, the Kabaneri can actually come together, and then they fuse together, and then one is the heart and it controls everything, and it's very greedy. It will attack Kabaneri and it will attack humans, which is very strange, by the way. And it makes me question, how does that happen? Because we know that Kabaneri, they have some form of muscle memory where they can remember some of the things from their previous life before they became Kabaneri. For instance, they can fight. You had examples of this in recent episodes of Iron Fortress. And it makes me wonder, what causes the Kabaneri to want to fuse? Why does one supposedly turn bluish, become the heart, and why does so many, fuse with it? What's going on there? I mean, I know the Kabaneri that becomes the heart is very greedy and wants to get more, but how does that happen? What causes it? I'm very curious, because that was something that really got me interested with this episode, because, I mean, with finding out more about this, of how some different Kabaneri can cause others to fuse and, make a colony, it makes me wonder what other type of, Kabaneri are out there, different type of forms and stuff, because if you take a moment to think about it, there might be Kabaneri out there that are way bigger, the colony might be way bigger than what we see here. There's a possibility we can have a gigantic, big-ass fucking colony, together, fused together, and I could see some other crazy things that we could possibly find out in the future about them. But I'm just so curious how they are formed. What really caused that? Is one, becomes they had a greedy life in their past, were they greedy or something? Does that pop up or whatever and they cause them to want more? I have no idea. I'm just throwing random fucking things out there up against a wall, but I'm just curious. That really got me a little bit invested into the series. But getting off of that, though, one thing that was really cool about this episode was definitely how this episode was kind of handled when it came to the execution. The main point of the episode was kind of showcasing that Kabaneri, or our half-zombie, half-human characters, they may be strong, they may be able to take bites from other zombies and be completely fine, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're invincible. It does not mean that they are completely strong. They are actually very weak, and there's a lot of repercussions for being a Kabaneri, because, I mean, for one, if you don't have blood, there is a possibility you can turn into a Kabaneri, which that's brought up in this episode, and I want to actually talk about this, because this is something I've been curious about since the beginning of the series. I've actually talked about it a couple times. I was always wondering what would happen if they didn't drink blood. For instance, if they didn't have their food, what would happen? And we already saw how, our main character, how he was kind of going crazy, and he was getting more like a Kabaneri. He was getting a more of a zombie side to him. And it makes me wonder what would happen if he had no blood. Would he be able to transfer the virus to other people? Will he completely become mindless? That's many questions I had. And we get to see how even our main character, Mume, she has no idea what happens if you do not drink blood. She had really no idea at all. She assumes you're going to become a Kabaneri, but she doesn't know what is going to happen. So, that's up in the air right now. Who knows? I mean, maybe they might not, maybe something else might happen, but whatever the case may be, it's definitely nothing good at all. And I am curious about one thing. If the virus does continuously, I guess, stay there, and it can actually destroy your mind and make you become a full Kabaneri eventually, it makes me wonder if they continuously take bites. Isn't that kind of similar to how if you got poison inside of your body? Use this as an example. Let's say a snake bites you, okay, but injects some poison inside of you, and it's enough poison to probably paralyze you, fine. But then it bites you again, a second time, and injects more poison, and then that poison is more lethal. It makes it to where you're certain to pretty much die. Okay, so 2 bites. I'm curious, since they have the virus active in them, and they can supposedly maybe become full Kabaneri if they don't drink blood, Does the virus get stronger if they take bites from other Kabaneri? What I'm getting at is, does the poison inside them build up to where they need more blood to be able to kind of keep back the virus, to where it doesn't take them over? You see, I'm just throwing it out there. I'm curious about that. But overall, though, the episode was very intense. A lot of action throughout this entire episode. I mean, you had a train running scene with a big colony, you know, Kabaneri chasing them. It was very badass. Besides some CGI here and there that was kind of meh, it was a very decent episode. So, yeah, how do you all feel about that music and that soundtrack? I mean, oh my god, that fucking soundtrack, I gotta say, if there's one thing I could give 10 out of 10, like, if I had to say, it would be that soundtrack. That soundtrack is so damn good. That train scene with the soundtrack, I was just sitting there like, oh my god, I need a fucking soundtrack, I need a fucking soundtrack. I was wanting the soundtrack so bad while I was hearing that train chasing scene. It was just so epic. So, yeah, I mean, how do you all feel about this episode? How do you feel about what happened? How do you feel about the ending conclusion? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Please be safe. Chibi out.